Yeah, good day, all students. You are welcome to OOU-GES151 class engagement. My name is FADIPE Mubarak Olaide. I'm from the Department of Agricultural Extension and Rural Sociology. In this session, we'll be discussing the sociology of Nigerian rural society. And in this class, we'll be able to establish the following meaning of sociology, rural sociology, what rurality entails, what it means. We'll try to establish the differences or those factors that distinguish rural settlements and urban settlements. We will also discuss briefly the rural social institutions, which are the family institutions, marriage institutions, the education institution. Also, we'll discuss on religion and belief, as well as rural development. Now, in order not to waste our time, firstly, what do we all understand by the terminology sociology? As established in this text, sociology is a scientific study of human behavior, the social relations, and social institutions, as well as the social structure, social change, and interaction in the society. Also, we can define sociology as a social science that studies human beings in their group interactions. Having established the meaning of sociology, how do we now relate this to rural area? Then you want to ask, what's the meaning of rural sociology? Rural sociology is the study of the rural people and their group interaction. Now, the focus of rural sociology is on the processes, the patterns, the patterns of organizations and conduct which are recurrent in our society. Some of the processes or patterns of organization entails the following. They are the characteristics of the rural people, what makes the rural people who they are, their organization, the various institutions and associations that functions in rural social life. Also, the impact of social change on the rural organization, as well as the problem which is faced by the rural society. Problems such as health, education, and inability to access innovation. Now, what is rurality? We have established the meaning of sociology. We'll briefly explain what rural sociology entails. Briefly, we'll also discuss what rurality is. There are so many school of thoughts on the meaning of rurality. Now, some people they believe that some scholars they believe that rurality should be defined with respect to the population census. However, this has created so many debates. It is highly debatable that there is no general consensus as to what rurality entails. So the school of thought that says that the population census of a settlement should be used as a criteria to define what rurality entails. But this is debatable because it cannot be used to generalize the concept of rurality in all society. However, there are common there is a common agreeable position by quite a number of scholars, which is they define rurality in terms of the occupation of the rural settlements, in terms of the population density, in terms of the size. Now, in our own definition, rurality refers to low population density, small size, relative isolation, and the occupation of the people, which is majorly agriculture. Before we proceed with uh, other issues we have to discuss today, I want to explain that better because when you talk of population density, it means that the number of people relative to the size to the space available. So it means that in a settlement where you have little or small number of people that occupy the very large expanse of land. So they define it as rurality. Also, the occupation of the rural people must be majorly agriculture. That is, it means it defines the settlement as rural. Now, that is the main conception of scholars. Now, we need to now establish the main concerns of rural sociology. The main concern of rural sociologists is with the farmers, the family, the agricultural production, as well as other economic activities they are engaged in order to make a living. Now, the next thing to discuss is the rural urban differences, differentials. Now, there are factors that determine these differences. Such as number one, I will list them, then I will explain some of these factors. We have the size, the population density, occupation, social integration, social stratification, social mobility, social control, inadequate or lack of social amenities and services, as well as the tenure system. Now, we'll pick these factors one after another. The first one, we talk about size. We are trying to distinguish, we are trying to differentiate a rural settlement and an urban settlement. When you are talking about size, it refers in rural area, it is smaller than that of urban. Size in this case refers to inhabited areas rather than the total area of land available for use. Also, population density, as mentioned in the definition of rurality, that is number of people per unit area of land. In rural area, this is low. That is, small number of people occupy large expanse of land. However, in urban settlements, you have large number of people occupying small area of land. Another factor to explain is occupation. Now, we establish in our definition that the major occupation of the rural people is what? Agriculture. Now, this does not mean that the rural people are not into other economic activities. They are, but however, their major activity, their major economic activities is agriculture. Now, we also consider social integration as another factor to differentiate between rural and urban settlements. This simply means the social contacts between the people. In rural settlement, this social contact is minimal in quality, quantity, and variety, which means that occasionally the people rarely meet, the people rarely interact. So occasionally they meet, especially during the market day, unlike the urban centers. So social integration is also another factor to consider when we are differentiating between rural and urban settlements. Another one is social stratification, that is the ranking of members of a society into classes or hierarchy. Now, this could be on the basis of wealth, education, or economic attainment. Now, in rural settings, social stratification, the ranking is fewer in rural than in the urban. Also, the classes in rural settings are closer than the urban setting. Now, another factor we would like to consider here is social mobility. Social mobility, that is the movement of people from one social class to another social class. Also, this could be through political change, economic pursuit, or educational attainment. This social mobility is lower in the uh, in the rural settings and the urban settings. Let me buttress that a bit. In the urban settings, there is high tendency of people to have access to educational institutions for them to achieve some of these educational qualifications, political involvement, among so many others. However, in the rural setting, it is slower, it is minimal. Another factor to consider after this is the what we call social control. That is how behavior of the people is guided. That is social control. In rural settings, social control appears to be more appealing. That is so easy to be guided than in the urban settlements. Some of the techniques used as social control in the rural setting are gossips or avoidance behavior. For instance, now someone that is putting up a maladaptive or antisocial behavior in any rural settings, either they when they start gossiping about that particular person's behavior, the person tend to retrace his or her step. Also, avoidance behavior, because the number of people in that rural settlement is low, so nobody will want other community members to avoid them. So people tend to abide by the norms or the rules applicable in that settlement. Also, inadequate or lack of social amenities or services. If I can take some rural settlement for instance. For instance, if we are going from Abeokuta to Ayetoro, which is our own campus, you observe that aside from the bad roads, some of the rural settlements along that axis may lack of public health facilities, community water, good education system, amongst many others. However, in urban settlements, we have them in abundance. So this also is another factor to consider when differentiating between rural and urban settlement. Also, the tenure system. In rural settings, most of the most prominent tenure system, land tenure system available is the community, or the which is through inheritance through by lineage or community ownership of land, which is controlled by few individuals in the community. This way, it also affects agricultural practice, which is even the main occupation in the rural setting. So the tenure system is also another factor to consider. Before I move into the next issue to discuss, I want to do a brief recap of what we've discussed so far, and I want to believe that you are all following the interaction. Now we have established the meaning of sociology. Also, we discussed what rural sociology entails. We established that it is the study of the rural people and their group interaction. Also, in terms of the process, the patterns of relationship and organization that exist in the rural settlement. We've also discussed the meaning of rurality, and we said that rurality, for a place or for a community or for a settlement to become rural, it must have the following criteria. We mentioned that agriculture must be the major occupation of these settlements. The population density should also be uh, considered amongst many others. And we highlighted the factors to consider for to distinguish between rurality and also an urban settlement. However, in all this, there are so many efforts or interventions that have been put in place to ensure development in rural settlement, either by government, non-governmental organizations, and research institutes, individuals, and many others. We'll mention some of these, and some of these are in recent times, decades ago, several interventions have been put in place. In the last few years, we've also experienced the likes of livelihood improvements, family enterprise, acronym LIFE, also rural access agricultural marketing project, then the Anchor Growers Program, which was introduced to assist rice farmers. Also, the agricultural transformation agenda, the rural electrification, amongst many others. All these activities, all these interventions are put in place to assist the rural populace to be able to develop on their own and also become better as individuals. Another striking example, which is we've had some developmental organizations such as ITA trying to come up with smart applications to assist farmers to be able to contend with the climate variability and be able to become smart farmers and also to assist them to make money in their activities. Since we've already established that farming is the major activities of the rural population, so a lot is being done to assist the farmers or the rural population generally to live better life. So that said, I want to believe that the point is taken. Now, we'll now move to another focus, which is rural social institutions. Now, these institutions create some form of relationship which constitute a major channel through which rural society operates. That is, these rural or social institutes, they assist to coordinate to make the community, the rural community, operate in an organized manner. And for the people of the rural, for the people of the rural community to be able to meet their basic needs. Now, again, we need to note that rural institutions also interrelate. These institutions, let me cite example of this institution, like the family institution, the religious institution, and the educational institution. They interrelate incredibly in their functions and adequately serve the interests of individuals. No institution can stand on its own without depending on the other institution. Now, we've highlighted some of the institutions. We said that the family institution, the rural school systems, the religious institution, the political institution, the rural economic institution as well. Now, we'll pick this institution one after the other. Now, we would like to discuss what the family entails, and it can be defined as a kinship group linked by blood, marriage, and adoption, and occupying the same roof or household, common household. Now, we need to now establish the meaning of household. Uh, so household means for you to be household means it refers to all persons occupying the same house, either relative and what or guest. Now it means for you to be a member of an household, you do not necessarily need to be related to the household head either by blood or by relation. Once you stay under the same roof at a particular point in time, you are a member of that household. And also, why is family a social institution? Because family is a social group which is made up of the man, the wife, and the children. It helps the people to socialize. It helps the people to socialize. It helps to bring about common belief, help people to interact and influence each other's behavior. Also, the family members exhibit common beliefs and values and norms. Now, there are several functions of family as an institution. Family helps to procreate, they help to care the young ones and nurture the young ones, also help to educate the children, protect the vulnerables from threats or enemies. The family helps to care for the aged, society also in the family. they help to build or to shape the moral and bring about financial support of members. As we mentioned earlier again, they help to socialize. There are types of family, the nuclear and the extended. The nuclear consists of the man, the wife, and the children. And the extended family consists of several other nuclear families. Are we together, please, class? Also, we will now move to education. We know that education as an institution, as a social institution, helps to transmit and to help the members of the society to acquire socially approved cultural heritage. Also, education helps in knowing, that is, it helps one to acquire new knowledge. Through education, knowledge is spread among members of a society. Do not forget our definition of rural sociology. You will see that this social institution helps to achieve a greater society. Please note that the process of socialization starts informally from the family and then formally in school. Look at the characteristics of the family institution we mentioned, the form to build character, to provide moral support, and help people to interact. That is informal way of socializing. However, to take it further, education will now assist individuals in the society to socialize formally. Education serves to train the people, bring about social change through modification of cultural heritage and development of own knowledge, skills, and arts. There are types of education in our different types of education in our rural society in Nigeria. We have the formal education, the nomadic education, the extension education. Now, what do we understand by extension education? Extension education is an informal out of school system of education. The essence of organizing this education for farmers is to assist them to change their attitude, to build character, to be able to understand agricultural innovation, to be able to accept agricultural innovation, and to be able to put up good farming practices. And this extension education is administered by professionals called extension agents. Mind you, there are so many types of different types of extension agents. It could be a public extension agent or private extension agent. A very good example in Ogun State here of public extension agent is what we call Ogun State Agricultural Development Program. This particular establishment administered extension activities. One way or the other, they educate farmers, they disseminate information to farmers. So extension education is established to train farmers on best practices and assist farmers to embrace good practices as well. Adult education on its own is an education administered to elderly people, people that had no access to formal education. So adult education is a literacy education organized for adults who lack formal education. Are we on the same page, class? Now let's do a quick recap before we discuss the religious institution. Again, we say that rural institutions assist members of the society to do what? To socialize, to interact effectively, and to be able to achieve a lot together as one. We've discussed the family institutions, how the family institution assist individuals to socialize, and also the education institution and the types of educational institution we have in our rural setting. And we also emphasize that the forms of socialization begins in the family, informally in the family, and also extend formally to the education institution. Thank you. Now, the next one we are to discuss is the religion and the belief system of the people in our rural setting. Now, religion is defined as consisting of institutionalized systems of beliefs. Again, religion is defined as consisting of institutionalized systems of beliefs, values, and symbolic practices, which provide groups of men with solution to their question and ultimate meaning of death, difficulties, and suffering. So in rural Nigeria, the functions of religion includes the following: the explanation of unknown and irregular physical occurrences such as flood, lightning, and earthquake, depending on the kind of belief system someone embraces. It helps to promote group solidarity. Also, religion helps to strengthen moral order. Also, it provides support for social organization and institutions such as schools, hospitals, etc. Also, it also really helps in justification of human existence. You might say. So, religious beliefs and practice in Nigeria can be divided into indigenous or traditional and the foreign religion. So, in Nigeria at large, especially in our rural setting, the we have three types, which are Christianity, Islam, and the traditional religion. All these helps to shape people's belief, what they believe in, and how they act within the social institution. Also, we would like to discuss the rural economy. However, before we discuss the rural economy, we must emphasize that with increase in formal education, the influence of traditional belief is waning. Or let me say, becoming educated, they have the liberty to choose or to belong or to embrace what they believe in. However, we must establish that in Nigeria, in our rural setting, we have a lot of people who have embraced the foreign religion, which is Islam and Christianity. And Islam and Christianity, they found their way into our society through the missionaries by establishing missionary schools and exposing people to knowledge which they never had. So that way, people started embracing this foreign religion. Now, again, rural economic institution. As we said in our definition of rurality, we emphasize that agriculture is their main occupation. I had a student ask, is it only agriculture that is major in rural setting? I must say, yes, agriculture is practiced largely in rural settlement. However, there are other forms of economic engagement in our rural settlements. A lot of economic activity in our rural settlement. In some rural settlements, you have sawmilling, you have pottery, you have weaving, you have soap making, you have blacksmithing, you have trading, you have leather works, amongst others. However, agricultural activities have outshined these occupations when compared with those in the urban areas. In the urban areas, you will see industry, you will see quite a lot of white and blue collar jobs. However, in the rural settlement, it is largely agriculture. How significant is the rural economy? How significant? It is highly significant because people, either you have a farm, you operate, or you work as a labor. Family farms predominate, is dominant. in rural settlement. And the economic services mentioned in rural settlement, in the economic services in rural settlement, be it agriculture or any other thing, they are often performed through some of the underlisted rural organizations, such as cooperative societies, such as government or privately established institutions. Also, we mentioned agricultural extension organization the other time. They help to facilitate agricultural economy. Also, individual farmers also the individual farmers they look for these services from other individual and groups. That is, they train each other and help each other to become better. Also, we need to establish that consequently, we need to establish that agriculture in Nigeria can be classified because we said that agriculture is the main economic activities of the rural settlement. It can be classified as subsistence and commercial agriculture. Agricultural production in rural Nigeria is largely subsistence due to the drudgery, eh, energy consuming nature, how we operate it. A lot of farming activities in our rural settings, quite a number of farming activities still embrace the drudgery nature. So agriculture areas in rural settlement is largely isolated. The land in these areas belongs to the community as explained earlier. So we need to embrace technology in order to improve agricultural activities and uh, peradventure also improve the rural economy. Before I move to the concept of rural development, I will I would like to recap what we've discussed so far. We've been able to discuss rural sociology, the meaning, how people interact, how they organize their society. We've also established the various kinds of different kind of rural institutions that help people to socialize, that help people to engage one another, that help people to interact meaningfully, through which people acquire knowledge, people become better and achieve a lot together. All we'll move to rural development. There is this misconception that rural development is the same as agricultural development. This is a huge misconception. People perceive that once you mention agricultural development, also you are talking about rural development. These are two different concepts entirely. Agricultural development, the aim of agricultural development is in improving the welfare of the population through sustained improvement in agricultural production. However, rural development aims at improving the welfare of the rural people. Again, agricultural development it aims at improving the production capacity of the farmers, of the people, improving the agricultural development of the society through through sustained improvement in the productivity of agricultural sector of the farmers or the farmers. While rural development entails improvement of welfare of the rural population through sustained growth of the rural economy, which includes agriculture. It may not be its only component, also not necessarily the most dynamic. What we are saying is agricultural development focus is on improving the welfare of the population, providing food by improving agricultural productivity, by assisting farmers to become a better farmer, to farm smartly, to produce smartly, and to be able to make sure that food is available for his or her family and also to the society at large. However, rural development, the concern or the aim of rural development is to improve the welfare of the rural population. Again, another perspective to this is that in a rural settlement, not everybody in the rural settlement is a, is into farming. Not everyone in the rural settlement is into farming. There are quite a number of people in rural settlement that are doing something entirely different from farming. However, we've established earlier that the main occupation is farming. So rural development tends to assist everyone in rural settlement to become better. Now, having established the meaning of rural development and what it aims to achieve, there are problems associated to developmental initiative. Number one is lack of commitment to rural developmental initiative. Another one is policy associated problem. Another problem associated with rural development is lack of systemic and coordinated implementation of the program. Another problem is lack of community involvement and empowerment. Also, there is high level of corruption. Now, let me explain the lack of commitment to rural development initiative and also lack of community involvement and empowerment. For any meaningful, for any program to be meaningfully effective or for the people to feel the positive impact of any rural development program, bottom-up approach to be used. However, what we have largely in our society is top-down approach, whereby the people developing any initiative, they assume that they know what the people need. No, they do not know. They just assume. And once they assume and they implement the program, the people will not feel it. However, what they need to do is to carry out a bottom-up approach. What is bottom-up approach? Bottom-up approach simply means that involving the people in the identification of the problem, involving the people in planning on the solution to address whatever problem they want to address, involving the people in implementing, involving the people in appraising some of these projects. Doing this will help the people to feel the impact because they are part and parcel of the planning, of the identification, planning, implementation, and also assessment of the progress. So that way, we will have what we call sustainable development. So this, among so many other problems faced in rural development, aside from the lack of social amenities, education, and the like, in implementing it, this is key. We have to encourage developmental organizations, also governments too, to design policy to involve the people, the people in planning, implement, and implementation of any rural development program so far. Also, before I review what we discussed so far, we have to know that another problem of rural development is high level of corruption. People that are supposed to feel the impact of any meaningful program, they are not feeling it. The projects are not getting to them, as some of these projects are being hijacked that with people with ulterior by people with ulterior motive. Now, in summary, we've discussed what rural sociology entails. We said that most importantly, rural areas is defined based on population density, also, and the major occupation, which is agriculture. We also the the differences between rural and urban settings. We discussed the factors such as the size, social stratification, the control, the social mobility, the land tenure system. We discussed that as well. We also discuss in detail the social institutions available in our rural settings. And we said that socialization begins from the family informally and also it extends formally through education, educational institution. And also, we also emphasize that religion institution is important in shaping the behavior of the people. Thank you for coming, for attending today's lecture. I hope we'll meet in sound health in our next engagement. So in our next engagement, I will be taking you through the teaching methods in agricultural extension and rural development. Thank you for paying attention and thank you for your cooperation. Thank you. I wish you all the best. Bye.